Metal fabrication by jet. Hammers. The narrow end of the hammer is used to bend sheet metal fast. The narrow end of the mallet is used to bend the sheet metal faster than the narrower end, and the narrower end will bend and stretch less. High impact nylon bossing mallets. As their name suggests, these mallets feature a nylon head. These types of bossing mallets are made from nearly indestructible, non-marking material and have egg-shaped heads. The wooden handle to which the head is attached offers good grip for the hand. The high-impact nylon bossing mallets are mainly used when you require good power for shaping sheet metal in less time. Safety. The mallets make a loud noise when it comes in contact with the material, therefore earmuffs will be required. For safety reasons, eye protection and aprons will be required. The die. The die is used for bending sheet metal in it. It is like a divot that you can mould the sheet down in. Safety. The die required PPE. This process is loud, so earmuffs are adequate for safety reasons. Eye protection and aprons will be required. Dollies. The metal is rotated and passed under the hammer while being pounded, causing strikes to be in reducing circles from the outer rim to the centre. Once a hollowed form has been achieved to one's satisfaction, it can be polished using a technique called plenishing. Make sure the dolly is well secured. Be careful with the dolly. The hammer could come back and get you. The dolly should never be struck bare with no material on it. Inspect the dolly before use to see for any cracks. Safety. The dolly will require all standard PPE, including eye protection, apron, and boots. Ear protection is advised for the loud noise. Sandbags. Sandbags are handy for a malleable hitting surface. You will need a few different types of nylon mallets. Then create an impression in the sandbag. The slightly thicker end of the bossing mallet is then used to beat into the flat disc of metal while holding it at an angle to the cavity. The sandbag is consistently hit with the mallet in the same location as the material is rotated underneath. In order to strike the metal in a series of decreasing circles, beginning on the outside and moving towards the center, the metal is passed further under the hammers one more time as the process continues. Safety. The sandbag requires PPE. The process is loud, so earmuffs are adequate. For safety reasons, eye protection and aprons will be required, with boots as well. Plenishing hammer. Plenishing hammers are very useful when curving metal. It is faster than a dolly. Test the tool by pressing the foot switch before plenishing. When you want to start plenishing, the metal should be held between the anvil and the hammerhead with both hands, and then to release any remaining air pressure in the air hammer at the end of the process, depress the foot pedal. A plenishing hammer works to smooth a metal part that has already been formed. It achieves this by lightly but repetitively striking the metal. Your hitting force is regulated by a regulator on the end of the hammer. Safety. Use eye and ear protection. Do not wear loose clothing when handling metal that will be used on the plenishing hammer. Always wear leather gloves and other protective gear. During use, keep hands, fingers, and arms away from the hammerhead and anvil. When not in use, unplug the device from the air supply. The English wheel. Choose the right die for the project and adjust to the right height. The sheet metal should be inserted through the opening between the anvil and the rolling wheels. Move it back and forth. The product is then finished. With the aid of the English wheel, a metal worker may create double curves from flat metal sheets. Safety. When using the English wheel, always wear approved safety goggles or face shields and steel caps. Remove all loose clothing and restrain long hair before operating. Use leather gloves when handling steel workpieces. Shrinker stretcher. A metal shrinker stretcher is a powerful tool which is used to shape metal. Press the foot pedal while working the leading edge of the material as you place it between the upper and lower jaws. Insert into the jaws halfway. The jaws have teeth and can mark the sheet metal. To remove, scrub and sand to get it clean. Safety. Eye protection should be worn when operating the shrinker stretcher. An apron and boots should be worn. Keep your hands away from the jaws and never force the lever. Never wear loose clothes. Sheet metal roller. To operate the sheet metal roller, you will need to adjust all of the knobs to the correct specifications. Then place the sheet metal to be formed between the rollers. Rotate the handle gently. The flat sheet of metal is now rolled. A sheet metal roller makes flat sheet metal into rounded sections using the metal rollers. Metal rollers come in a variety of sizes, including tiny bench-mounted manual crank models and enormous motorized units. A set of 3 steel rollers with their rolling axes parallel and their rolling centers forming a triangle make up a typical metal roller design. The operator can adjust the space between the rollers to adjust the amount of radius forming that takes place on each pass. The roller's parallelism can be altered to create cone shapes. The manual units perform the same types of operations as the motorized units on lighter, smaller workpieces. Safety. The sheet metal roller requires all of the required PPE. This process, you will need eye protection, aprons, and steel cap boots. Gloves are handy to protect your hands from the edges. Bead roller. A machine called the bead roller creates rigid lines in sheet metal to toughen and strengthen surfaces. Bead rollers add lines to the sheet metal that give it more structural integrity, preventing warping and deformation. Safety. With the bead roller, eye protection should be worn as well as boots and apron. All of the loose clothes should be tied back or taken off.